Hi everyone, I'm back for my third installment. Today I'm going to make some Creole chicken gumbo. Now the recipe I have calls for already deboned chicken breasts, and I don't have any of those. I have them that came with the bone. So I'm going to show you how to take the bone off the chicken breast. So first I'm going to cut off some of the excess fat. And again, this is where a nice sharp knife comes in handy. Okay, now to get the bone off, go around the back. Cut lengthwise on this and let the knife do all the work. Just cuts it right off. Try to save as much chicken as possible, but probably lose some of the meat. And then just cut the membranes that are still attached. And again, just pull it apart. Okay, so discard that. And then I'm just gonna cut the last bit of bone here and the remaining fat. Okay, so I just want to cut off all the fat off the chicken. So we have some nice lean chicken for the gumbo. Okay, so there we have 3 deboned chicken breasts. Okay, so the next step is to make what's called a roux, which is the Creole term for base mix. So it's basically consists of flour and oil or butter. Sorry for the camera angles again. Still working out this camera situation. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to use, I'm going to use coconut oil. So it says 3 tablespoons of shortening or oil. So I add, I'm going to go old school, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. All on low heat. So I have my burner on 3. And that's about 3 tablespoons. So I'm going to let that melt. And then you add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Okay, now the oil has melted, so it's now time to add the 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And you have to keep constantly stirring. Just keep stirring and stirring and stirring until it turns a nice kind of darkish brown color. And try to get all the lumps out. This is going to be the base for the soup sauce. This is what's going to thicken it. So that's what a roux does. It thickens sauces and soups. And try not to burn it, because if you burn it, then you have to throw it out and start again, because it is not something that's a forgiving ingredient at all. You just keep it on low. You just constantly stir it until it turns a little bit darker color. It should be between a medium to light brown. Right now it's kind of very, very blondish color. So it should be more a light to dark brunette shade in terms of how you can envision the color. Okay, and I will be back when it changes color. Okay, while we're waiting for the roux to cook, I chopped up all my other vegetables. So some tomatoes, asparagus, red peppers, mushrooms, celery, and onions. So I've got all that ready, and then I just have to cut up the chicken into bite-sized pieces as well. And once the roux is cooked, then I add everything to it. Okay, I think that's as dark as I'm gonna get it. It's not very dark, but sometimes things just don't turn out properly, but it's thick enough. So I think I'm gonna add my vegetables now. First I'm gonna add some onions, not too many. And I was able to cut them up a bit bigger because it's for a kind of like a stewish soup. So bigger pieces are good. You don't need a very thin dice. And I don't think I need to add all of this asparagus, so I'll add about half of it. Save the rest for another time. And then add the mushrooms in. I'll add all of them. And then just stir that up and let that cook for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm gonna check it in about 15 and see how it's going. And then once that starts cooking a bit, then I can add some chicken stock to cook it a bit more. See, it's just absorbing the roux there. And I think that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to absorb all the roux, and then they're supposed to cook, coated in the roux, and then I can add some chicken stock and some tomato stock. So I'll let that cook for about 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and add the chicken stock. Okay, so you can continue to cook these for about 10-15 minutes or until the onions become translucent. So I just put them in, so I'll come back in about 10 minutes. It says you're supposed to keep stirring constantly, so I'll come and stir every couple of minutes or so. Okay, I am ready to add the chicken stock and the tomatoes. I'm just going to add enough to cover. And then we bring it up to a boil. I know it doesn't look that appetizing right now, but once the tomatoes and the rest of the chicken stock and the tomato sauce are added, it'll look a little bit more appetizing. A bit more chicken stock. At this point, I'm ready to add the tomatoes. Let them cook in. And it called for a can of tomatoes, but in this day and age at the grocery stores, with the COVID-19 going around, you can't find everything you want in the grocery stores. So I had a couple of tomatoes. I couldn't find any other tomatoes that were good. So I'm gonna add some tomato sauce to give it a little bit of a tomatoey feel. Just a bit. I don't want to be too overwhelming with tomato sauce. Add more chicken stock because it seems to dry up pretty quickly. I guess it's the flour in the roux. So I'll add a lot more chicken stock to make it soupy. That's better. And then just let this boil a bit. I'm going to add the herbs and the salt and pepper. And then I will let this boil. So let me stir it for a bit more. Now it's starting to look as it does in the picture on the recipe. So I'm going to add a little bit of pink Himalayan salt. Brown pepper. add some paprika. Now you can add whatever seasonings you like. The recipe calls for cayenne pepper. I don't like cayenne pepper. I don't like really spicy things. So I'm adding paprika. And I hate the spices that come in the bags because you can never open them. Scissors. Parsley. Okay, let's stir that up again. It's really thick, so I'm going to add some more chicken stock. And let that cook. And once that comes to a complete boil, then I will add the chicken. So I'm just going to cut up the chicken and then I will add that in as well. Okay, so the recipe calls just to add the chicken. After you cut it up into bite-sized pieces, just to add it in as is. That piece has a little bit of a bone. Okay, so there's the chicken. Now I'll go wash my hands after I stir it. Turn down the heat, add some more chicken stock. I'll just add the rest of it. It just keeps drying up. And then let that simmer for about 30 minutes so the chicken can cook, and then it should be ready to go. And in the meantime, while this is simmering, you can cook some rice or some pasta or whatever you want to have with it on the side. You just follow the directions to cook on the package. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes and it's simmering away. The chicken has now been cooked. So now it's time to serve it. So I'm just going to turn it off the heat. Back so you can see the bowl. I put some rice in the bowl and I'm just going to serve the gumbo around it. Now you can make any kind of gumbo you want. You can make shrimp gumbo. You can add shrimp to the chicken gumbo. Make chicken and shrimp. You can make chicken and sausage, sausage and shrimp. Anything that you want to add. I had chicken, so I decided to make chicken gumbo. So there is my Creole chicken and rice gumbo.